Welcome back to Everything EOS, the longest running EOS podcast. I'm here with my two-time guest, Alex Melikhov, coming from quarantine in a 14-day quarantine. Just entered the UK from Germany recently. He's the co-founder of cryptocurrency exchange Changeli. He's also the CEO of EOSDT, also known as Equilibrium, a collateral-backed stablecoin on EOS. How are you doing today, Alex?
Yeah, doing very well. Thank you very much, Zach, for having me on your podcast. Yeah, so you mentioned my quarantine. I'm already for almost 11 days on quarantine after I arrived at London from Frankfurt. So my beard actually is getting longer. However, overall COVID thing was not didn't affect our daily operations within our team because we have, as you probably know, the remote teams in different distant locations in the world. Some guys in the US, some guys in the UK, some guys in China. So overall, it's working like it's working regularly.
That seems to be the case with a lot of the crypto blockchain teams. A lot of them already were working remote. Like, I'm reading all of this news about Zoom, how there's all these people that are just discovering Zoom. And I'm just like, man, I've been using this for years now. It's nothing new. And I learned that my lifestyle, the way I live my life, is actually called social distancing. Who would have known? I've been doing it. I've been working from home for a while now. And,
yeah, exactly.
It's just a little more strict. So we talked for a little bit before we started recording. You said for your quarantine, you're literally like locked indoors. You can't even go for a walk outside.
No, I cannot. But I think that this coronavirus thing overall will change the behavior of regular people, because those of them who actually discovered the opportunity to work at home probably will not get back to their offices anymore, because it's like you and me are always doing that, so we got used to that, to doing things at home. Not attending office, whatever. But for regular people, it's something new experience, right?
I think it's part of what it's doing is it's accelerating some trends that were already happening. Like, remote work isn't anything new, but I think it's accelerating the pace. Remote learning, people are like, in my state, in my country, pretty much all the high schools are all remote now. So they're all learning how to do this distance learning. And then there's a lot of companies that just were all like office based, and they're learning that they're not actually, depending on the type of company, obviously, but they're learning that they're not losing as much productivity as they may have thought by being remote. So maybe when things go back to normal, they'll have maybe like a more flexible environment. Maybe they'll be able to work from home 1 or 2 days a week. We'll see. It's also accelerating other trends like killing retail. I don't think that the big retailers are going to be able to come back, like the non-big box stores. Like right now, like Walmart and Target and things like that are still open, but
they just apply some changes to their business models, focusing more on delivery side, on some remote things. Yeah. Because for example, I know that fitness industry is changing tremendously, because a lot of people actually buying equipment for their houses, and I'm not sure they will get back to fitness centers anymore.
Yeah, they're actually paying for subscription apps. So like you're getting like a workout in, but it's like live with your trainer on the screen, and you're just working out, and they probably have a monitor in front of them seeing like 20 different students on bikes, and they're motivating them. So it would have been looked at as crazy a couple months ago, but this is the new normal. You're right. People can't go to the gym. The gyms are all closed, all the gym bros.
Exactly. I have attended, by the way, several yoga classes remotely. It's quite weird experience, I would say.
It looks like you're keeping up on your haircuts, though. That's good. I got one like right before they all closed down. So I think I got another week or two in me. Then I'm going to have my wife cut my hair, I guess. I don't know what all the women are going to do. You're going to start seeing women, like when we come out of hibernation here, we're going to see everyone's true hair colors, I think.
Oh, yeah. I mean, good for you that your wife actually can do that. because I cannot even cut my beard, so I'm the beard is getting longer and longer.
I have hair clip. I'll probably just go with the same length on the entire thing to make it easy. I don't know what I'm gonna do. But yeah,
Okay.
lots of crazy stuff happening. I think everyone knows what's going on with the money printing and the traditional finance system. But we're here to talk about DeFi today, which is a very hot topic. It's pretty much the hot trend in crypto over the last year or two. Collateral-backed stablecoins. I think the most popular one, the most well-known one, is makerDAO. A lot of people have heard of that from the Ethereum community. And you actually have published an article kind of comparing the services. We'll get into what happened with that. Was it March 12th and 13th when the market crashed? We'll get into how MakerDAO reacted to the market crash and how EOSDT did. But why don't we kick this off in case people really haven't heard of you or EOSDT or Equilibrium? Why don't you introduce like what Equilibrium is at a high level?
Yeah, in broad strokes, Equilibrium is the framework for building DeFi applications and synthetic assets. And EOSDT is the first proof of concept of the technology. It's the first decentralized stablecoin on EOS, which is backed by EOS cryptocurrency, essentially. And every single EOSDT is getting into circulation through over-collateralization with EOS collateral. So basically, users are generating these EOSDT stablecoins through depositing their EOS holdings into our smart contracts. So that actually is bringing quite a lot of advantages. So firstly, it's a transparent stablecoin, and at any time you can be sure that there will be the certain amount of collateral which is backing this stablecoin. On the other hand, it's risk-free custody because everything is on smart contracts. And definitely the most differences are coming from the technical side of things and differences between technical platforms underlying MakerDAO and Equilibrium EOSDT. So as I highlighted in my article, obviously the robust price feeds make a lot of sense, and definitely the overall blockchain capacity of EOS is way higher than the capacity of Ethereum network, specifically with respect to the amount of transaction that can be held by the blockchain network there. We have launched, just getting back to the introduction of EOSDT. So we have launched EOSDT into production back in April last year. Since that time, we got some traction. Currently, we have more than around $10 million worth EOS sitting in our smart contract, which makes us one of the biggest dApps in terms of balance on the EOS blockchain. Around 3 million USDT generated by our users. We have launched the industry's first stability fund, which is actually guaranteeing that users would get their funds back even in the case of some black swan events or whatever extraordinary thing happening on the market, like the recent market crash. So we got listed on several prominent exchanges with quite proper liquidity depth.
Yeah, props to you guys for that, because that's one of the biggest issues with stablecoins. I mean, I work with the VigorDAC project and follow that project, and it's not quite there yet in production. It's on the testnet, but once it goes into production, finding that liquidity on the exchanges it's going to be everything. You have to, like, when you generate a stablecoin against your collateral, I have EOSDT now. I have to be able to spend that EOSDT on something, or else I'm just holding some token.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that even the bigger problem is getting back your EOSDT or whatever stablecoin you have generated, to be sure that at some point you can be able to buy it out from the secondary market at the price of $1 and pay back your loan on the smart contract, because here's the risk: you're locking some liquid assets on smart contracts, anticipating that at some point you will repay this loan and get back your collateral, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the bigger use case. So if it comes to, so maybe we should go for explaining the use cases for this type of stable coins, right?
Yeah. So also I think I think most people are going to understand what this is, because this is not a new concept anymore. But you're essentially able to borrow stable coins, and in this case EOSDT, against your crypto assets, which in this case is EOS. So like, let's say I have $100 of EOS. I could lock that into the staking contract, and I could borrow
60 EOSDT. Better, I think it's better to say that you have like $200 of EOS, and you're efficiently borrowing like $100 worth USDT.
And that'd be a 200%, and that would be 200% collateral, which gives you some wiggle room, because once your collateral drops to 130%, that's when you get liquidated. And we'll get into all of that fun stuff in a bit. EOS Writer just put out a blog article yesterday. You guys, on April 1st, you guys have some interesting stuff coming up with the fee modeling and the proxy. I'm a big fan of passive income, and that's a big reason I wanted to bring you on here. I also want to talk about the LiquidOracles. We'll get into that in a little bit. But passive income, there's so many ways to earn income through not just EOS and other crypto assets like Tezos and things like that, but in this case with EOS and Equilibrium, not only could you borrow against your EOS, but you could actually earn income from the EOS that you're borrowing against through the proxy. You want to kind of get into how that works?
Yeah, for sure. So I think that staking is the overall trend on the market, and as you reasonably mentioned, definitely you can do that in multiple ecosystem, including Tezos, EOS, and other blockchain platforms, where actually you can take the advantage of DPoS or POS systems. So we're actually leveraging these opportunities for quite a long time. And now we have updated our system so that our users who actually are putting their EOS into our smart contracts are getting this passive income on that EOS. They just simply deposited on the smart contracts, and not necessarily generated USDT, by the way, right? So where actually this income comes from. So basically we have found the way how we could actually stake the whole EOS collateral for block producers, and do that in a riskless way, right? Because we can, quite immediately or instantly pull it back and get back to our users, right? So these block producers for whom we're staking this collateral is the list of these block producers is actually selected by our so-called not token holders, right? So they're voting for block producers, picking the list of 30 of them who are actually getting this collateral from our system, and these block producers are paying rewards for that, right? So we have updated the system that the block producers currently are paying 95% of their daily reward they get thanks to our proxy. And this actually means that the reward which is paid to EOS collateral holders will reflect the proxy size fluctuations, right? This actually means that if you are simply staking EOS into USDT system, you will get some expected and constant APR on the EOS you staked. So currently, the numbers that we are anticipating is around 2.3% coming from block producers. And this funny thing, because at the same time you're getting some portion of other revenue streams, right? So we are not getting just block producers rewards. So
this is the interesting part. So I wasn't aware of this. Like, I'm more excited about it after talking to you before we started recording. So typically, whenever you stake to a reward proxy, which is the new norm anymore, like it's not really looked down upon, block producers are paying for their votes. They're paying out rewards to these proxies. So if I stake to like EOS Nation or Colin Talks Crypto Reward Proxy, I'm earning those vote reward payments. And that's great. It's like a 2% or sometimes a little bit below 2%, but it's capped. You're capped to what the block producers are willing to pay. But with the Equilibrium proxy now, you actually get the extra fee model whenever there's liquidations. Whenever your collateral position goes below the threshold, which in the case of Equilibrium is 130%. So
which is lower than 150% of MakerDAO, by the way.
It is. If it goes below that, then basically my position has to get unwound. So I have EOS in the contract that's basically backing the stable coins that I generated from it. It has to sell that EOS. And there's also a fee involved with selling that EOS. What's the liquidation fee charged to a staker right now?
So basically it's 13% of the value of loan.
So if I got liquidated 100 EOS, all of them got sold, 13 of them would go towards a pool.
No, it's a little bit different. So, okay, so imagine that you have 100% of EOSDT, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your collateral value is dropping below 130%.
Mm-hmm.
So you basically have 130% of collateral. Let's say it's $130, just to make it simple.
Keep it easy.
So yeah, so basically you have $130 of collateral. You are getting back your excess collateral, which is $17, and $113 are going to the liquidation system. So in liquidation system, $103 are sold for $100 worth EOSDT to some market players who are actually performing this liquidation thing. Mm-hmm. And you get 10 excess percent, right? Mm-hmm. And this $10. So basically these $10 are divided into two parts. One part is $9, which is going back to the collateral pool. And efficiently, this is where this kind of additional income coming from, right? Mm-hmm. And $1 is sold for NOT tokens, and distributed to those guys who are actually deposited NOT tokens to the governance contract to select block producers, for example.
Mm-hmm. So I think the simple version of this is that when positions get liquidated, people who are staked into the EOS staking contract are earning fees. So whenever someone gets liquidated, there's a fee they're charged. Those fees get distributed between NUT token holders and people staking their EOS. And when you're staking your EOS, you're already earning the block rewards from the block producers that they're paying into it. You're already earning REX, whatever percent that is right now. But then additionally, you're going to get what I don't have the percentage in front of me. We talked about it earlier. Is it 10%, 9%?
No, I think it's something around 6 point something.
No,
I mean, it's overall,
out of the 13% liquidation fee, 9% goes towards the EOS stakers. So what that does is it raises the APR. So in the EOS Radar article that I read yesterday, it called out, I think, a 2.3% APR. That's just kind of like the floor. On the homepage of EOSDT, it's actually showing a 30-day average of 6.35%. And that's because, as we all know, on March 12th, everyone got wrecked. There was probably massive liquidations. Everyone holding a position that wasn't grossly over collateralized probably got hit. But what this does is it incentivizes you to over collateralize your position so you don't get liquidated, because you could benefit from all of the less sophisticated, less smart people who are under collateralizing their positions and getting liquidated. So I think that's awesome. So let's get back to the differences here. You want to kind of walk through what happened on MakerDAO on March 12th and what caused everyone to get wrecked because of the Oracle lockup?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's an interesting part because initially MakerDAO or whatever analysts who actually were explaining this issue, what happens on March 12th to 13th, They tried to explain it from some economy perspective, saying that, hey, there is the economy problem, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But eventually, it turned out that the problem was in overall architecture. So the guys who actually were developing makerDAO and its technical side, they didn't take into account the potential clog of the underlying blockchain platform. And when this clog happened, when all the Ethereum network got stuck, and literally nobody could normally transact on that, including Oracle's system of makerDAO, who actually could not break through this kind of frozen network and push the transaction with the actual price fit. The prices of makerDAO were deviating from the actual price of Ethereum quite a lot. So there was the problem. The price of kind of the rates of Ethereum on makerDAO smart contracts were way above the actual price of Ethereum on the market, and nobody wanted to liquidate the liquidated positions, right? Because you eventually would supposed to pay kind of premium to the market, which makes no sense, because if you're liquidating, you want to get the asset at the discount, right? But instead of discount, you had to pay some premium, which makes no sense, as I said. So in these circumstances, all these kind of keepers who supposed to do the liquidations, they just gave up. But some of them they tried to push the transaction on chain with almost zero bids in the auction of makerDAO, and surprisingly, this transaction passed through. So basically, the system makerDAO, they had no minimum threshold for bidding in the auctions, and technically they were not bidding zero. They were bidding just one basis points of the token of DAI, which is actually 10 to the degree of minus 18 or something. So basically, so technically it's not zero, it's above zero. But in the real world, nobody can win the auction bidding 10 to the degree of minus 18 and the auction in the amount of $6,000, right? So that makes no sense. Yeah, so that's what's happened, and eventually this kind of adventurous keepers, they extracted over $6 million worth Ethereum from the contracts of makerDAO, which is outrageous amount of money.
Insane. Yeah. So what happened, from what I understand, was that the gas fees were just so insane that it was roughly $30 to make an Oracle call or a transaction at that point. So makerDAO has 14 like anonymous oracles. I think some of them are known. Like they do their own oracle too. On their list of oracles is makerDAO themselves, which means that their own price oracle was too cheap or too broken, I guess, to even update its own price feeds on its own. Like that's crazy. And that I don't want to get into that. And then the people that were buying the liquidated positions, they were paying like $200 in gas to make sure that their buy orders would go through. And it was kind of a gamble, but it was a gamble that paid off significantly.
Exactly. But the thing is that when you initially supposed to make this bid, you actually, if you're even paying $200 for transactions, $200 for gas, you're not guaranteed that you will win this auction, because somebody else could also bid like on to $250, for example, or something. So that's a thing. I remember at some point somebody from the community was raising this kind of problem of makerDAO's oracles, I guess a year ago or something, asking somebody from the makerDAO's team who actually this oracle or whatever price feeds were. And they told they responded that we cannot disclose the identity of these people due to security reasons.
No, it makes no sense. You want that to be transparent. Like who are these mystery oracles? And
right.
I'm sure if we knew, like, they're most likely people that are reputable at least. So I think the whole unknown thing doesn't really make sense to me. So let's get into your oracles, because you have a very robust oracle system. It's going to get even more robust here shortly. So you use 3 oracle sources: Provable, Delphi, and soon the LiquidOracles system. And you're also going to be running your DSP. So how do you aggregate your price feeds amongst like different oracle types, and how many different feeds are you using? So makerDAO is using 14 unknown feeds. How many feeds are you using currently?
So look, firstly, when we approached the problem of Collateralized prices on the smart contract, we decided to go to take the approach of public and known and reputable oracle systems. The first oracle system that we have integrated was the system of Provable. I know these guys for quite a long time. They're providing oracle services since I believe 2016, for quite a long time, and they actually are reputable guys, quite well known in the Ethereum community, and recently they also rolled out their solution on EOS blockchain as well. And we actually, EOSDT was the first application which utilized their price feeds. So then we decided to diversify these oracle systems by integration of Delphi Oracle. It happened, I believe, in August last year, something like that. And now we are preparing for launching the 3rd price feed through LiquidOracles. So expectedly it will be launched within coming weeks. And I mean, we are actually fetching the aggregated prices for crypto compare for now. And we are building the median price among all the oracle systems, all the prices we get from different sources. And eventually, I expect we'll be building the system where we'll be fetching prices from multiple exchanges, building the median on our end. However, I think the current setup is enough robust, and I think that aggregated price from crypto compare reflects the current situation for sure in the market.
And the crypto compare API is an aggregate of multiple exchanges. So even though you're pulling it from crypto compare, on crypto compare's end, they're pulling it from many different exchanges on the EOS price, essentially.
Exactly.
USD price.
Yeah, I think they're pulling the prices from over 50 exchanges or something like that.
And as far as robustness, so all of your oracle systems, like it would almost be impossible for them to all go down at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. So through Provable, we're fetching prices from crypto compare. We're expecting to fetch crypto compare aggregated price also through LiquidOracles as well. Delphi Oracle works a little bit different way, because there are several block producers actually pushing their prices on chain. I'm not sure about the source of this price, by the way. However, if the price is irrelevant, it would be mitigated through this kind of medianization on our smart contract.
And I think Delphi, I'm pretty sure, uses I think it uses Nudex for the prices. I'm not 100%. I don't want to be quoted on that. And then the LiquidOracles, you have already spun up your own DSP. It's already available for other people to stake for services if they want to, but you'll be using your own oracle, or using EOSphere, I think, is one of the other ones.
Yeah, we are using EOSphere as the first DSP. The second DSP would be our own. And we also were talking to EOS Nation.
Robust oracles are one of the most important aspects to a DeFi project. We saw what happened with MakerDAO when oracles don't work the way they should. The other important thing is how the liquidations are conducted and whether or not the DeFi protocol has an insurance pool. Earlier, you mentioned the insurance pool, which I think is roughly $10 million. So what happened with MakerDAO with those liquidations, we talked about how people were getting liquidated. Typically, when you get liquidated, you lose a lot of money, but you still have some of your collateral left over. If I get liquidated on Equilibrium, I still have a small percent of my original EOS. It's a consolation prize. You're upset you got liquidated, but you have something. What happened on MakerDAO was there were people that lost thousands and thousands of dollars, millions collectively, but individuals, many people lost everything. So that's something that would be impossible on Equilibrium. And the reason is that, one, your Oracle system, I think, is so robust that there's always going to be someone feeding a price. You don't have to worry about transaction fees skyrocketing because you have millions of EOS staked, and you're probably well positioned for any type of congestion. You always have a 30-day advance on Rex rentals. So you're never going to run out of computation because you're prepared for this. And then the transaction fees aren't going to go up. And we didn't mention this, but the MakerDAO oracles, another thing that kind of sucks about them is they only update every hour. How is that even safe to run a system like this when your oracles are running every hour? How frequently are your oracles updating?
So currently we're guaranteeing that the price are as fresh as 1 minute update. So every minute we're updating the prices on smart contracts. Compared to 1 hour of MakerDAO, it's a huge difference, I guess. Specifically in the circumstances of the market crash like we experienced weeks ago. So that's definitely something that differentiates the approach of Equilibrium and MakerDAO. And the thing is that you cannot afford so agile price feeds on Ethereum. So that's basically the issue with Ethereum specifically, because every time when you're updating the price, you should pay gas. Simultaneously, you're not paying gas on EOS, right? Because there is no gas. Transactions are almost free, and definitely that actually opens new possibilities for building DeFi applications on top of that. Because you can rely on your price feeds, you can always be sure that the prices are actual up to date. So that's something different. And definitely, like you mentioned that we have this stability fund, or if you wish, insurance policy. So that's a kind of different approach. So if you remember what MakerDAO did to cover all these losses they had through this market turmoil. So they just simply issued bonds efficiently, right? So it's something that Fed's doing. yeah, exactly. It's something like Fed is doing every time something happened to the markets. So, but we actually we took the different approach. So we took the responsibility for what we are doing, and we established this insurance fund, which actually ensures that every user will get their funds back, even in the case of some extraordinary market events that would lead to the overall collateralization of the system dropping below 100%, right? So the system will be heavily under collateralized. So in this case, if we will be winding down our system, so every single user will get back their funds according to kind of 100% of the value of their stable coins.
So it's like the collateral of last resort, basically. But the way the system's set up is it should never be tapped into. So it's pretty low risk on your end, but the funds are there. It's completely transparent. You could see it. You know that it exists. So it should give comfort and safety, knowing that you're never going to wake up one day and see that all of your collateral is completely wiped out, as happened on MakerDAO the other week. So I want to get into some of the cool stuff that you have coming up. And one of them you talked about before we started recording was a multi-collateral system. What are you able to say about that? And is there any time frames we could look forward to? And what's that going to look like?
Yeah, so we have rolled out a very, very important update for the system months ago. It probably actually passed a little bit unnoticed in the community, but for us, it actually has a huge impact because we have technically prepared for getting for embracing more collateral types within the system. So basically, we can launch any collateral type within just 1 day or something. So what actually it means? So the system is currently comprised of separate segments, and every of these segments will be responsible for the specific type of the collateral. And these segments will be technically independent. So it means that if some collateral type would, for example, fail for some reason, like, I don't know, maybe due to some price drop or whatever, and we will be forced to wind down this specific segment of the system. And actually, this will not affect the overall big picture. So basically, we just switch off one segment and other segments will continue functioning and the system will be up and running. So that's the fundamental difference to some other multi-collateral systems, even to the systems which are presuming building kind of, baskets of collateral, right? So if the basket fail, the system would fail. In our case, if some collateral type will fail, the overall system will not fail. So also like on top of that, we can definitely build more sophisticated models. So we can build even some segments with the basket of collaterals. However, it's quite a long story.
So if I had to guess, like collateral types, like we probably expect Bitcoin, Ethereum, big caps at first, and then probably stick with those for a while, test the system, and then add more if there's demand for it. But
yeah, exactly. So just for you to have the understanding of our main focus for this year in terms of the project development. So this year for us the goal is to build the true cross-chain interoperable system, which will embrace the biggest assets in terms of market cap, like Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever other assets, maybe Tron. We're also looking at Telegram Open Network if they make it to the markets eventually. So that's the kind of things that we are focused on right now. So the first asset, or if you wish, the first additional collateral type that we will add to our system will be the solution by our partners, by Provable. They're launching P tokens projects quite soon. And in terms of this project, they will be delivering the system which will allow to lock your Bitcoins and to issue the wrapped tokens against these Bitcoins on EOS. And these tokens actually will be accepted as a collateral for EOSDT. However, I know that quite a lot of people are quite skeptical about this type of solutions, about these wrapped tokens, whatever. And I actually, in some parts, I actually agree with them in terms of their kind of skepticism around that, because definitely the adoption of these assets very much depends on, first, liquidity, and secondly, how robust the federation, or if you wish, the partners who are staying behind this kind of projects. In terms of P tokens, I would say that they have quite prominent federation which is backing their solution specifically. I'm aware that Bitfinex actually joined their federation. They will be supporting them, and I know that several other major exchanges will be also supporting their tokens. And I think in terms of that, in this sense, this project will succeed compared to others.
Because you have to have liquid markets, because just because you have a pegged Bitcoin doesn't mean anyone wants to buy that pegged Bitcoin off of you. So I guess you'd have to unwrap it and then sell it as a regular Bitcoin to get liquidity. But you're saying that the P tokens themselves, you're pretty confident that they'll have liquidity because of partners like Bitfinex and other exchanges potentially, that there will always be a market for it. So therefore you can collateralize it and generate EOSDT.
Exactly. And you should be confident that at every time you can swap back your wrapped Bitcoins to the actual Bitcoins on Bitcoin blockchain.
Mm-hmm. And that'll look kind of just like an exchange, basically. If you want to generate a pegged Bitcoin or pegged Ethereum, you'd send your real Ethereum to a specific address, probably giving it your EOS wallet name, and it just kind of does the cross-chain swap. I think that's something I've heard of other systems doing it, but I've never seen any of them gain traction, is the thing.
Exactly, but the thing is, what you're explaining is sounds quite difficult from end user's perspective, right? Some cross-chain magic, whatever, wrap tokens, and
how do you make it easy?
Yeah, exactly. So our goal is to provide users with a seamless user experience. So they basically will be doing everything in one interface. I mean, both sending Bitcoins and generating stable coins, and they basically will require just two transactions on Bitcoin blockchain and on EOS blockchain just to redeem your stable coins. And that actually makes things way more simple than on any other systems of this kind.
And they'll be able to do that all from the same front end. So they'll be on the same website, right, on the EOSDT site, but it'll use the provable backend or the P token backend like framework to generate everything, but they'll be doing it from just one front end.
Exactly.
So everything's done on the same interface.
Right. So it's basically will be integrated into the current user flow on the EOSDT interface, and by far it would not require you to go to some site services to do something on the back end. For sure not. You just get everything in one place.
Mm-hmm. I think that's really important. It's the user experience is, I mean, in blockchain, it's been kind of the curse of it. It's been that everything's too difficult, and we're trying to bring those walls down, trying to make things less friction. Another thing I read about you guys is that you're able to pay fees now just using the EOSDT, because I had a position a while ago on Equilibrium, and I typically don't hold NUT token, but I did have EOSDT, and when I went to close my position, I had to pay a fee with NUT token. So I had to go to Nudex and buy a little bit of NUT token, then send it to EOSDT.com. So now, is this implemented today?
Yeah, exactly. So we have switched our fees before that paid in NUTs into the fees paid in EOSDT. So basically, users will be not, end users will be not forced to have NUT tokens in their portfolio. So overall, it will be simplifying their user experience, because they will be simply generating USDT on the smart contract, and then paying the same USDT plus some accrued fees also in USDT in order to get their collateral back. However, by all means, it doesn't reduce the utility of NUT tokens, because we actually just shifted the flow of NUT tokens from the end user's flow to the user's flow of more sophisticated professional market participants who are actually doing the liquidation things. So the approach we're currently taking is the approach of simplification of everything for end users. So basically, it means that we're not just switching fees to USDT, but we're also launching quite soon the new web interface for the overall application. It would look like the very nice bank application that you have from your regular bank, right? So it would be quite nice. We will be launching that in April.
I can't wait to see that. So it sounds like since the last time you were on here, which sometime this summer, it was off, like you went from Tulip, I think it was B1 June, then you went to Tulip in California, and then you're on your way to New York, I think, and you made a pit stop in Pittsburgh, and we recorded a podcast in person with you and your general counsel, Josh Goodbody. And you guys have you're very knowledgeable on the global regulations, very, very meticulous with how you guys are operating. What's the latest with that? Because I know like a legal opinion came out, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I know with like Vigor, we're talking about like not even using the term stable coin anymore, like calling it a low volatility token, something like that. So what's the situation with stable coins right now with as far as regulation?
Look, it very much depends on the model of stablecoin. So basically, in most proper jurisdiction, like in the UK, for example, the stablecoins that are backed by physical cash in banks are actually considered as e-money. So basically, if you want to transact or build some service on top of that, you should obtain the FCA license in the UK, for example. I guess this situation is quite similar in some other jurisdictions as well. However, if it comes to decentralized stablecoin, which are backed by cryptocurrencies, their legal status is currently, I would say it's not unclear, but it's a little bit under the radar of regulators. And however, like we in Equilibrium, we got the legal opinion on both assets we have on our framework on EOSDT and not. This legal opinion actually is considering both as utilities, no way securities. So another important thing that we worth mentioning here that decentralized stablecoins are efficiently the loans against the collateral users deposited on smart contracts. And in this sense, this particular operation, I mean, collateralizing your volatile assets on smart contract is not triggering the taxation events, right? And you actually can get the stable coins without doing some kind of exchange operations and get some cash against your crypto holdings, right? And then you would not pay taxes, I guess, anywhere, neither in the US or nor in the UK or somewhere else.
So let's just give a quick example so people can understand that. So let's say I want to buy something and I'm going to have to sell some crypto or generate money against my crypto somehow to buy, I don't know. I don't want to say, I want to buy, what the hell do I want to buy? What could be funny?
Masks or
yeah, I want to buy I want to buy some of those really expensive, hard to find that I shouldn't even be buying because medical professionals need them, N95 masks, and they're really expensive, but I need the money. If I sold my cryptocurrency for USD or USD coin, so I could sell it on coin, so I could take it to Coinbase and withdraw it to my bank account, I have to report a taxable event for that. Whether it's a gain or a loss, when I sell my EOS or sell my Bitcoin or my Ethereum to USD coin from Coinbase, that's a taxable event. I got to report that on my taxes. But if I generate my stable coins on a platform like Equilibrium, I could generate like $500 off of a couple thousand. It has to be at least $1,000. I'm so bad at this math. I'm over collateralizing my position. If I want to generate $500 against $1,000 of EOS, that'd be a good collateral position. I would not be paying taxes on that. That is not a taxable event because I'm just basically, it's almost like a credit system. It's kind of like your house. I think a good comparison is your mortgage on your house. If you have a certain percentage of your house paid off, you could actually take out a loan against your house. Essentially what these collateral-backed stablecoins do is you're taking a loan against your crypto. But it's not a taxable event. It becomes a taxable event whenever you need to, I guess, buy more. If you spend those EOSDT and then you eventually want to close your position, you either got to sell EOS or do something to buy those EOSDT to put back into the contract. So that would be a taxable event, but you could time that up strategically. Maybe you don't want to create that taxable event until next tax season, especially if it's at like the end of the year. So I think that's very advantageous. And I think it's you might know better than me, but I think that's a pretty big whale trick. The people that have like millions of dollars of crypto, I think that's how they're able to buy nice things and spend their money without creating these giant taxable events.
Totally agree. And actually they're keeping up with their upside, with the upside potential of their volatile assets, right? So they are not forced to sell them off to some stable coin and then regret when this crypto will go up in terms of its price. So that's only the good option. The last thing I actually wanted to highlight on our side is actually the multi-sig with block producers, because we're eventually going to make these things happen. And as soon as we get the audit reports of smart contracts, so it's coming along quite soon.
So that's just going to add more security. So right now your smart contract, is it just like a multi-sig of your own team essentially. It's not
exactly. Yeah.
It's not a single key, but
yeah, exactly. So it's all the keys, so all the private keys are actually belonging to the team. It's by far all the keys are safely stored on cold storages. So by all means, it's kind of safe and robust here. But we want to take a step towards more decentralization of the system. So you probably know that last year we have done the arrangements with 11 block producers who actually agreed to be on our multi-sig for EOSDT. At this point, we actually are waiting for the eventual audit report for our smart contracts, and as soon as it would be published, we will transfer first smart contracts of the system to this multi-sig. They would be the smart contracts for our tokens. So initially, there will be the group of 3 block producers just to kick off, to figure out how things working, how we are coordinating all the further developments and deployments of smart contracts to the network, and then we will get all the block producers on this multi-sig. So we expectedly we will roll this out in April. Actually, Colin Talks Crypto, he raised this problem multiple times, that hey, here's USDT, one of the biggest projects on EOS, but still with not that decentralized permission structure. And we eventually want to make these things happen.
So pretty much make it as secure as possible, make it as trustworthy as possible. We talked about a lot of the other trusts, like with the insurance pool and things like that, but the one thing still missing is the block producer multi-sig, and that'll be a significant step forward. But after all that, after all of this new development we talked about, how do we get more people using DeFi? So right now we have $10 million locked up. MakerDAO has whatever it is, $100 million locked up. How do you get more people into the ecosystem and more people trusting DeFi? And what's like the timeline?
So we should distinguish retail use cases from the use cases for more professional market players here. And I think in terms of bigger market players, and more kind of professional market participants, we should need just for more adoption, more institutional players coming into the space. And as soon as we see the bigger kind of banks or companies, funds coming into crypto, we will see the rise of DeFi and the volume locked into DeFi. I would say the conference I was attending in Frankfurt was quite interesting, despite the quarantine I got from after that. So they were just banks, just professional and institutional guys. No, average crypto crowd there. It was super interesting because the guys were talking very serious stuff, like institutional custodies for crypto, then like insurance things, tokenization platforms, treasury management solutions for institutions. So this was extremely interesting, and I got the feeling that everything like moving this way, the way of more kind of institutionalization of overall crypto space. I'm not sure even that this kind of sandbox of the current crypto assets will remain here. For sure, some of them will stay for a long time because it's used to adopt it. It's like Bitcoin, Ethereum, hopefully EOS, and some other things. But all the shitcoins would definitely will be washed off from the markets. So. But there is another dimension of all this kind of crypto movement, the dimension of institutional market players, and probably there would be some alternative assets moving around. So let's see. It's quite interesting how things going there, and where everything going overall. So I think it's a kind of so in terms of kind of retail users and retail adoption, for sure, it's very much depends on the user experience the users get through these DeFi applications and DeFi projects, right? So frankly, the user experience in different projects that are existing right now is quite controversial, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
So it's quite difficult for retail users to understand how things working there. And on another hand, like the way how it's done on Ethereum, for example, with this quite how to say. So the low speed of transactions and this potential clocks on the network, the undetermined price of gas. So that's actually quite disgusting user experience. I mean, so that's why we started building things on EOS, by the way, because we believe that immediate transactions like we have in EOS without actual cost, like almost free, that actually represents better user experience than on any other blockchains. So in terms of user adoption and in terms of onboarding users, like retail users, for sure, this type of ecosystem make way more sense than any others.
Mm-hmm. One of the ways I've actually been onboarding people, whenever I onboarded a couple of friends earlier in the year, it was right after I started using crypto.com. They let you, it's CeFi, it's definitely centralized, but they allow you to earn off of your stable coins. You could earn, I think, a 6% APR without any real lockup. I think that's their flexible APR percentage just from holding stable coins. Are there any plans to have EOSDT integrated into someone else's lending platform where you could actually just hold stable coins, no volatility risk, but you're able to earn yield on that?
Yeah, it's exactly one of the things I wanted to touch on, actually. So we are currently working on the system, which will be representing the saving pool for EOSDT. So basically, the users will be able to stake their EOSDT stablecoins into smart contracts and get APR on that. So that will be the part of the system integrated into our interface, quite similar to DAI savings rates, but with a little bit different model of interest rates. So the initial interest rate would be quite high. Then it would be gradually decreasing until to some certain level. But eventually, it would be one of the products on top of Equilibrium integrated into our interface. So in terms of, yeah, I mean, there will be quite exciting update, by the way. So in terms of other lending platforms, I mean, on EOS currently, there are not that many lending platforms so far. I believe there is EOS thing that we are already listed there. However, not that much liquidity. But the good news here that we also will have PEOSDT token on Ethereum launched soon, and we expect this token to be integrated into some lending Ethereum-based lending platforms.
Yeah, that's why, because crypto is just so volatile. Like, I don't want to introduce someone to crypto and then have, if I did this all happened back in like January, if I would have told them to buy Bitcoin, buy EOS, buy anything, they would hate me right now. I wanted to take baby steps. I was like, install this app, deposit some money that's just sitting in your checking account. And instead of it sitting in your checking account and not earning you any money, you could earn 6% on it. It's just all just digital dollars essentially. And that's all it is. So they didn't have any of that volatility risk. They're earning APR. And I think that has such major potential for like just normal people. They don't have to worry about like no crypto. It's just, you're holding dollars essentially. It doesn't even matter what dollars you're holding. On crypto.com, you can hold True USD, USDC. There's a couple other ones, But I would love to see EOSDT added to all of these same platforms. It'd be great because then I could I could generate them from my EOS. So
right.
In the magical scenario here, I have EOS staked to Equilibrium. I generate stable coins against that. My EOS that's still staked is, in this last month, it earned over 6% APR. And then I have all of this other EOSDT that I just generated. I could have that in a lending platform that's earning who knows whatever percentage APR that is. I'm just all about that passive income. And I think there's a lot of different ways to play this. I mean, with your system, you could lever it up if you want to take those EOSDTs and buy more EOS, stake the EOS into the contract, generate more EOSDT, and you can keep doing that, but you add risk. I don't want to necessarily add more risk in this marketplace, but I do like opportunity. And by generating those EOSDT, if I could put those to work for me, I would love to have that opportunity. So I'm looking forward to seeing this.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, we are in talks with several platforms like that. So expectedly something will work out soon in terms of adding us to some lending platforms.
Looking forward to that. So I think we should wrap up here. How could people find Equilibrium? What's your how they find you on Telegram, Twitter, your website, EOSDT.com? I know that off the top of my head. And anything else you want to mention before we hop off here?
Yeah, thank you very much for watching. You can definitely get your hands-on experience on EOSDT.com, generate some EOSDT, collateralize some EOS, and quite soon some other cryptocurrencies you have in your portfolios. So we will be constantly improving our user experience, so expectedly you would enjoy that. And if you have any feedback, feel free to reach out to us, share your feedback, and we always listen to what the community tells us in terms of their experience and how we can improve our platform.
I would just like to plug, you guys do these AMAs. I did one a couple months ago. You're doing these AMAs regularly. People could join your Telegram group to find out about them, probably follow you on Twitter to know when they're coming up. You guys are actually paying out $100 in EOSDT for the best question for all of these AMAs. So it's an easy way to make money. Just have a good question for the guests. I know you had I was on there. You had Max Dapp on, I think, a couple days ago. You had Nate from Bancor. Eve was on there a while ago.
Right.
So yeah,
LiquidOracles, a lot of guys. Yeah, you can find us on Telegram. Our Telegram group is Equilibrium EOSDT Official. Feel free to join and ask your questions, whatever you have there. We'll respond.
Right. So we always end these shows with the Go EOS. This is everything. And this is everything EOS. Wait, I don't have the camera on me. Okay. And this is everything EOS. Gotta say go EOS. 1, 2, 3. Go. You gotta do it with me, man. We gotta do it. 1, 2, 3. Go EOS. Go EOS. Go EOS.
Go EOS. Go EOS.
Smash the thumbs up. Subscribe. See you next week.